SGC here, and we're back with a movie review. Dragon Blade. Directed by Daniel Lee, this movie stars Jackie Chan, John Cusack, and Adrien Brody. Anyone else? Check down below. So what's this about? So the movie takes place during the era of the Han Dynasty. Jackie Chan plays a Han, and he serves as a commander of the protection squad of the western regions of the Han Dynasty. And they are tasked by the Emperor to maintain stability between the warring 36 nations of the Silk Road region. And things happen, and he gets caught up in this whole mess, and he's thrown into Wild Geese Gate, a frontier town of the Han Dynasty, and undergoes forced labor. And in the west, meanwhile, a Roman general named Lucius, played by John Cusack, flees with his legion to the east. He smuggles the heir to the empire to save him from death, and a ploy by his older brother, Tiberius, played by Adrien Brody. And basically the entire film is just talking about different things colliding at this Wild Geese Gate, and the whole thing about the heir, this whole conspiracy of this ploy, and that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? Well, first off, Daniel Lee, he has this in the bag in the sense where he is a Hong Kong director who's filmed these period pieces of movies. His last 3 movies have taken place in different dynasties, so he definitely has the whole dynasty look and the way to film it down. So in that aspect, it's alright. And furthermore, in the sense where you have Romans, Chinese, Huns, Indians, Persians, and other Chinese and other people in the group all in this movie, it was an interesting multicultural movie funded by a China company. So definitely, that was interesting to see so many languages. Thank God they did the language stuff right, as in people that spoke Han. And yes, there is a universal translator, as everyone just understood each other despite the fact that they spoke different languages. I applaud them for doing that rather than dubbing people over. Even English is spoken by the Roman, so he's not dubbed or anything. And finally, Jackie Chan's broken English is done in the context, and he's broken enough to make sense that he would technically understand those words if he was the commander of this Silk Road Protection Squad, because he needs to, you know, communicate with all these different cultures. So maybe he learned, or he picked up English on the side. But yeah, so the premise itself, it's fine. It's a Roman thing meeting up. I mean, when I first saw the trailer, it was very far-fetched. I was like, is this a joke movie or what have you? But I sort of felt that they were committed to the cause, and it was a cool community bonding moment. And that's basically it. I mean, I've watched every frame of painting's analysis of Jackie Chan's action humor 5-6 times by now, and I was actually really looking forward to see if I can spot out all the cool stuff that Jackie Chan does. And I have to say, definitely he has the humor, he has the underdog, but he has the editing. I mean, as a Hong Kong director, I would expect that Daniel Lee knew how to edit somewhat to Jackie Chan's sort of skills. But it feels like he didn't, and rather I feel that the China company didn't really give him enough time, or what have you. But there are influences beyond your typical Hong Kong action movie. This movie, the action sequences totally felt just like the movie that Jackie Chan did with his other China company director, Police Story 2013, where the fights were intense, but the editing broke it down to the point where you don't feel the punches at all. And definitely it's also like this here in Dragon Blade. And it's just too bad, because he has the humor. The humor is there. It was some pretty fun stuff, but definitely the underdog thing was played out a lot. As in, being shot in the thigh with an arrow and then gut stabbed by a spear, you would lose. And it's not really an underdog. He's gonna die. And also, the last move that he pulls totally feels like, using Tony's analogy, as in like the supporting cast shot a rocket at him in Shanghai Nights. But instead of a supporting cast, Jackie Chan did it himself. So that's how bad this last ending was. And I'm gonna try to save you and really convince you not to watch this film, is that there's only 4 one-on-one fights, and Jackie Chan's in only 3 of them. So there's that. And also, as far-fetched as the plot itself is, I do wonder about the Roman use of their swords, as in they have some crazy sword play, and it sort of bothers me in the sense where, like, you sold me on the whole Roman meets Chinese people, but for me to accept that a Roman soldier would use a sword in that style, I have never seen it before in a movie. So historically, is it accurate? Inaccurate? It feels weird. So there's that. And maybe you noticed that I only mentioned 3 actors. Really, there is only 3 actors. I would even say Adrien Brody is essential to this storyline. As in, there's a lot of cool, nice sequences throughout the fights and stuff, and there's characterization between Jackie Chan and John Cusack's character, but Adrien Brody is just sort of brooding, literally brooding off to the side. And all the supporting cast, they somewhat hit or miss in terms of just humor. And there's also a love line, love triangle sort of thing that doesn't really go anywhere, as in it got established. It's fun for that one moment, and she's like, oh, he took off her veil, so they're married now. So there was this one amusing joke, but then there was no characterization, as in, like, why would this woman, or why would the people of this woman really ban? And there could have been so much potential, in the sense there's so many characters in the story, and I feel that the motivations weren't justified at all, really. And the movie's 2 hours and 7 minutes, and I feel that they could have cut down an hour and a half and made the film so much more faster, and the pacing would have been better. But if they weren't going to cut it down, they definitely could have worked on the development of characters. I don't know. Don't know how I'm supposed to feel. Like, I felt that it could have been so much cooler. Like, as far-fetched as the premise is, this is how you use movie magic, as you make these crazy storylines and make them happen, because it's not going to happen in real life. And it was just fun to see a Roman soldier fighting off like a Hun. But the rest of the movie was just, ugh. And the action sequences could have been so much better. But it was an interesting concept, I give it that. So, interesting. Curious. If you have nothing to do, you definitely could play this in the background and not really focus on it, because that's literally what I did. I tried to focus and nothing really happened, so I just listened to dialogue, and that was it. Though, give them props though, they did cast Vanness Wu from the Taiwanese boy band F4 and Karena Lam as English-speaking Chinese people. I swear, if these two show up again, please cast them, because they can speak Chinese. Because they can speak English and not sound super fobby at all. Like, they can pronounce. So I thank you for using those two. Maybe they will get more jobs from now on and not limit, Northern America to just, 2 people that can be Chinese, or even not Chinese, just Asian that can speak English. But anyway, I digress. So there you go. That is it for Dragon Blade. If you have seen Dragon Blade already, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And this is it for the movie review for Dragon Blade. Out!